Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Dave Tallon, board member with Yellow Power, also president of Heartland Earth Movers, longtime cat employee, cat collector and enthusiast, and I'm joined with by Sam Meeker, also longtime cat employee, collector and enthusiast.
I think we're about the same.
2 months, I think,
Yeah,
difference. So
within 2 months, because we all had the 20-year celebration 7 years ago.
yeah,
And there was like six of us that were all, within a couple months of each other, which was pretty ironic.
yeah, great year for Caterpillar.
Yeah, yeah. A bunch of newbies starting.
Yeah. So yeah, so we've got Sam. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your background, how you came to Caterpillar, some of the roles you've had with Cat.
Yeah. So Sam Meeker, I've been a cat for 27 years along with Dave. And I started Cat back in 1999. In fact, it was May 18th, 1999. I think any good employee remembers their first day on the job. So May 18th, 1999, and I came into the company in the ag business. So with the combine group, I was kind of a bit of an expert with precision farming and GPS at the time, and so I got the opportunity to go work on yield monitors on combines. So a couple of years worth of that, and then moved over into another GPS related role, which was our product link, vision link development. So worked on that for a few years, jumped into a black belt assignment, which is kind of a project manager role at Caterpillar for the special tools group. So I got to get involved with some of the very unique and interesting tools that our dealers and customers get to use to work on their equipment. And then I wanted to get back into the marketing space. So came back into the marketing group and covered small wheel loaders and compact wheel loaders, everything up to the 930. Did that for a few years and then jumped over into the tractor group in 2009. And I've been in dozers ever since then, covering waste handlers and quarry initially, and then moving over into all the other earth moving activities and all the other applications that we do. So been in dozers, I guess, since then, which is 18 years or so. So it's been pretty interesting.
Yeah. I think we started working together probably 2012-ish when I kind of got more into the technology stuff.
Yep, that sounds right. Because Ken Nebergall, the guy that I kind of took part of his job, and you had worked together for,
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry, it was before Nebergall. It was Dan. Oh, dang it! Now I can't.
Roy.
That's right. That's right. Dan DeCroy was doing the waste handler stuff.
Yeah.
And so then Ken Nebergall was our kind of our mentor actually between you and me. So yeah. So about 2012. That sounds about right.
Yeah. A lot of landfill trips together.
A lot of landfill trips. Only one crashed drone.
Yeah.
That we never found, by the way. When the drone crashes into the blade at the landfill, it goes straight down and you never see it again because 3 foot of trash is way too much to dig into.
Yeah. Nothing like looking for a shiny plastic thing in a pile of
shiny plastic things. Yeah. So.
Yeah. That, and I think I remember it was like the week before COVID really broke loose. We were building up our immunity in a landfill for a week.
That's right. We did that production study out in Indiana, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And then I took off from that one and I went down on a track loader trip to southern Indiana. Same thing, 953 in a landfill. So yeah, we had all the bugs already in us, and yeah, the landfill bugs were chasing the COVID bugs out at that point.
Yeah, and then went from there to
Las Vegas
Con Expo.
That's right. 2020. Yeah.
And the week started off exciting and ended in a panic, basically, I think.
The key thing about that one was it never rains in the desert. And it rained every day at Con Expo. It rained every single day. We had below our D5 that we were showing off, we had 6 or 8 inches of water all around the electric boxes and all the service and everything that came in there. So it was a very exciting show.
Yeah. That was very interesting.
Yeah.
So
we've had some interesting ones together for sure.
Yeah. So product application specialist is your current role.
Yep.
So like what kind of stuff are you doing with that? Like training stuff? And
I you know what, a good way to put this, since I've got Dave here, is I weed out all the dumb questions so that I only send him the really hard ones. That's probably a good way to look at that. But I'm kind of the liaison between the customer and the dealer, and then back to the engineering group at Caterpillar. So I like to say that I have two-way communication. I take the new products that the engineering group and the product group comes up, and I basically tell the world about it. So I'm training the dealer salespeople, do a lot of magazine interviews and whatnot, podcasts, things like that, talking about all the great new technology and features that we have in this new equipment and how it can help make our customers more money, make them more successful, take less time, get the job done faster, all that. And then on the other side of it, I take that voice of customer back. So I go visit a lot of customers, a lot of dealers, figure out what they like, what they don't like, get some new good ideas from them, and then bring it back and organize it and present it to the product management to help them prioritize what needs to be developed next and the new solutions that we need to be chasing down. So two-way communication between the field and the customers, the dealer, the field, and then back into the product group and the engineers.
Yeah. You mentioned doing interviews and stuff with the trade press, and I know I'm always jealous of how easy that comes to you, and you can just get up there and start talking. But I'll give you a little bit of a hard time. I've been a few times where you actually have to stick to a script.
Oh man, and the worst ever is trying to stick to a script. I absolutely can't do it. I have a heck of a time with that. Yeah. 2018, we launched the D8 Next Gen and the D8 XE out in Las Vegas. Big, exciting show we had. And the producers that were creating the program, I mean, it was a whole demo and everything. We put the demo together. We knew exactly what we were going to do. But they insisted that I write and follow a script. And I literally walked around on stage with my iPad in front of me because I just can't do that. I just can't do it.
Yeah, there was like fireworks and a light show and all sorts of stuff that was tied in, but they needed keywords to trigger that stuff. So you had to go exactly how
it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I can talk about anything as long as you want, just off the cuff. But doing it off of a script was just I just couldn't believe how hard it was.
Yeah. There's Sam. Oh.
Hello, Bill and Kay Meeker. You guys can mute if you want.
What do you say?
Hi, Kay. All right. Yeah, that probably was one of the highlights of my career. I would say was that launch in Vegas. That was really neat.
That was a big show for us and a big product too. I mean, that was our D6, our next gen D6, which was, as we like to call it, the 35-year redesign of the D6. We took that 1984 tractor and we brought it all the way up to that 2020 standard, and it was a huge, huge new product for us. And probably the most exciting thing you and I will do in our careers right there.
Yeah. So. And I remember the night before the show at Edwards where they launched that, we still didn't know what the tractor was going to be called.
Yeah.
It still had D6T on the side of it.
Yep.
And we got the word the night before the launch, get rid of the T. And so I was out there with electrical tape covering up the T.
So yeah, it was the D6, not the D6T XE, but the D6 XE.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that too.
So that was quite an event.
Yep.
So.
You remember our buddy Zala, who was working with us at the time, he said we have two new tractors, the D6 and the D6 duct tape, or no, the D6 black tape. The D6 electric tape and the D6 electric drive, because Dave used electric tape to cover up the T.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. And then we had the screen. Remember the screen that
the kabuki snifter. We were doing this big reveal of the dozers, and so we had this, basically a screen that was placed. We had a movie playing on it, smoke coming in from the sides, and then this device that they use to quickly pull the screen out is called a kabuki snifter, and it literally sucked the screen out, and right behind it there are these two great big dozers.
Yeah.
And it was this big reveal that we had at Edwards. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
But I think they were telling us that if we screwed up the kabuki snifter, it was like an extra thousands of dollars or whatever, because the screens were really expensive. If somehow or other we caught one on a dozer and messed it up. So they were telling us how important it was that we parked them in the right spot each time.
And they flew those in from Belgium, I think.
Yeah.
They said.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So that was neat. And we had you think you mentioned we had something projected, like the tractor video, and then towards the end, the lights on the tractor came on, and we had to line the tractor up behind the screen
Exactly.
so the lights lined up. So old Bob got to, and then he had to listen for a cue to turn the lights on, and then the screen disappeared, and then he came out.
So. Yep. And they had the thunder and lightning and everything in there too, and everything, all the lighting. Oh, that was quite the deal.
Yeah.
That was quite
really
the deal.
Was. Really was.
Big launch. That was and honestly, that product today is kind of the cornerstone of the D6 lineup, and even the 5 and the 7 and the 8. That really started the next gen dozer lineup for us. That's super popular with customers right now.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that the other day. That that launch, I think August of 2018, we did the launch to the dealers, and that was our first what we call next gen dozer, and we finally just got the last one introduced at Count Expo this year, the D8XE.
That's right. Well, maybe it's the last one. Maybe we got another one. We don't know. Yeah, D8XE.
We're never done.
Yeah. Just brought out the D8XE at Count Expo. So kind of the big brother to the D6XE, and electric drive, and saves a bunch of fuel and lots of productivity. Lots of people still asking. Dave and I were on a meeting today with some of the waste handler folks that we're friends with, and they were all asking when they can get one. So it's in demand for sure.
Yeah. It's really come full circle with that D8XE.
So quite an exciting time for us over the last few years for sure.
Yeah.
So
in your role, I know you travel a lot. We were lucky to get you here tonight because you're actually here this week. So like, what would you say, like percentage wise, how much do you think you travel?
Yeah, good question. So my annual cycle, right? My yearly cycle is pretty similar. The first couple of months of the year, we're always doing spring training down in Arizona. So we'll spend January and part of February down there. Usually for Valentine's Day, I'm down in Arizona. But we'll spend January, February down there doing what we call our spring training, where we'll have dealers from all over the U.S. and Canada will fly in, and they'll basically spend a week with us. So they invest a week of time with us, and then they get trained up on all the latest and greatest of Cat equipment, from the small skid steers, mini excavators, wheel loaders, excavators, loaders, dozers, trucks, scrapers, you name it. They come and they spend a week with us on that. So that kind of consumes the first couple of months of the year. Catch up just a little bit after that. Sometimes we have some earlier conferences and other trainings at dealers. Then I like to say the next big event we have is called planting. So once we get done with that, once we get done with planting, then we're kind of back into our summer schedule, which oftentimes is going to be dealers like to have either a training for their sales force. So, for example, last week was down in Carolinas, South Carolina, North Carolina. We had 50 salespeople came in and sat and spent about a half a day with us going through the product and the technology to learn that. And that's kind of my summer schedule. It's probably going to be every other week or so. We'll be out doing some sort of dealer training. And that's typically going to be May, June, July, even into August timeframe. August, September, we tend to get a little bit more. Dealers will start to have some more events for their customers. So that dealer barbecue that you go to, where they have kind of an open house and they're showing equipment off, and maybe have a little demo area or something, and have lunch for everybody. We tend to get a lot of those in August and September. And then, then harvest, quote unquote, for September, October. And then end of the year, November, December, there's always some other training that we're doing. We typically do some more training, dealer specific training down in Clayton, North Carolina. We always have a few things catching up. So, you take a look at that as kind of my annual cycle, and it's at least 50% travel, maybe 60 or 70. But at least 2 weeks out of the month is probably how much I'm out. And every time I go out to a dealer, I try to do, I don't want to just go see the dealer. We want to go to the customer. We want to go to job sites. We want to see what they're doing with the product, see what they're doing on their job and how it differs from other jobs that we've been on, help to share that knowledge between the customers. And then, of course, spend some time with the dealer and help them to answer their questions and get them up to speed.
And maybe shop for some bourbon.
Well, I mean, every time you leave here and you go to the Southeast US, you go right through Kentucky. And oddly enough, rental cars can be very unreliable and they frequently break down in Buffalo Trace parking lots or in Claremont and Jim Beam or down at Maker's Mark. It just happens all the time. You can't avoid that stuff.
Must be a Ford.
Yeah. No, it's usually Kias and Hyundais at the rental cars anymore.
So, so on your trips that you've taken, what are some of your favorite or most unusual places that you've visited?
I mean, we talked a little bit about the landfill, right? Everybody thinks landfill is just a place we pile trash up, but they're amazingly diverse job sites. It can be the largest earth moving site you've been on in a long time, up to the, just one of the most diverse applications that you'll use one track loader for. They'll do some excavation and some trash and some compaction and some cover, and then go pull out a truck and spread a load of gravel. I mean, it's just this wide variety of applications and work that they do. Landfills are always a blast. Lately, honestly, it's these big data centers. Went up just a month ago up to Wisconsin to one of the data centers up there, and I couldn't believe the amount of equipment on that. I mean, it was a 500-acre site. So if everybody knows, a square mile is a 640. So it was less than a square mile. And I'm telling you, there was 4,000 machines and probably 6,000 or 7,000 people working on the job site. It was just amazing how big it was and how much activity there was on that. So those are some of the interesting ones. You get into, steel mills.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we sell track loaders that go into steel mills, and standing there watching a track loader come out with a hot bucket of slag is, and literally burning the hair off your skin as it backs 100 feet away from you. That's an experience. Dave's done the fire dozer thing a few times out in California. Yeah. That's a super interesting application as well too. So I'd say those are some of that kind of stuff, some of the more interesting things you get into. Yeah. As much as anything though, our customers are what make it interesting. Most of them are characters, they're just crazy people. And you'll think that, this guy's just an earth mover, but all of a sudden you'll find out he's got 3 businesses on the side and he's importing Persian rugs or something like that. You're like, where'd this come from? But they always have their little niches and everything too. So they're just very, very interesting people in the variety of things that they do.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% would agree. You always learn something when you go out to visit a customer, and you'll see, like you said, some of the oddball side things they're into. Every once in a while, some antique stuff.
Yep.
There's quite a few collectors out there too. So.
You bet. Tons of our customers have a couple of antique tractors out front or, out in the back. So trip up to Canada last year, we went and visited this, particular customer, and we're rocking around behind his shop, and lo and behold, he's got 3 or 4 antiques out there, and a couple of, I'm trying to think if one of them was a little scraper that I'd never seen before. And, even some odd brand stuff. I think one of them might've been orange, but they have some pretty cool stuff out there. So
have you ever found anything that you brought home in Caterpillar related on any of your trips?
That's a good, I'm sure that we have certainly some smaller stuff, right? You find something at a dealer, it's been a long time since you've seen the Challenger Cat sprinkler, and all of a sudden you walk into a dealership in Amarillo, Texas, and it's sitting on the counter, and you ask, is that for sale? And the guy's like, let me look it up in the parts system. $83 later, it's in a box on the way to my house. So, definitely stuff like that for sure. Occasionally some bigger things as well.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I've even had, the people you meet, they'll, like one of the salesmen out in California, his dad had some Caterpillar stuff, and it wasn't anything real exotic, but he's like, oh, Dave liked that stuff. So he just gave it to me one time I was out there. Yeah. So I think maybe you even had a tractor where through, not necessarily they gave it to you, but because they knew of you through Caterpillar, you got the call and and it made its way to the Meeker farm.
Is this the one? Are we talking about this one?
Well,
The one?
I wasn't going to. I mean, I know you've already done a video on that one.
That is
I didn't-
true.
I
We
didn't
did that.
Didn't want to steal their thunder too much, but
Yeah,
that's definitely one of my favorites. The number one.
that was a pretty cool conversation. Sitting in my office, I was in CV, building CV at the time in our product support division, and got a phone call from our buddy Nikki that was running the archives at the time. And she said, "Hey, I've got a customer or I got a person that called up and said they have the first D2 and they want Caterpillar to buy it." And Nikki explained to them that Caterpillar wasn't buying tractors at that point in time, but let me give you a phone number of somebody who might be interested in it. And of course, I called them back. I'm like, "Okay, so what's the story with this?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's the first D2, and we want to sell it." So I said, "Well, all right." It's kind of a rainy morning. I'm like, I'll come out and take a look at it real quick. And started taking pictures of it and finding serial number tags. And lo and behold, there it was. So I very quickly called Bill Meeker and said, "Hey, we need a trailer and a tractor to drag this thing on the trailer as fast as you can get here. We need to get this thing on a trailer because I'm handing them a check." And yeah, brought it home. And I think we might have changed the fuel filters before we drug it. You know what? I actually think unloaded off the trailer, and I think we drug it and got it popping, and then backed it in and decided to change fuel filters and do a little bit more work just to make sure everything was good to go. So that was quite the story, though. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's definitely got to be one of the crown jewels of your guys' collection.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
So
and we always enjoy the open house you guys do every so often with all the tractors and all the memorabilia and stuff like that.
yeah, we've had it's been about every couple of years we've done an open house, but we try to get everything out. Dad's got a big collection of Oliver tractors from all ages and sizes, big and small, and quite a few Caterpillars as well too, and some old ones and some new ones. And then of course the basement is full of toys and memorabilia and everything. And we invite everybody out to come and take a look at it. So we'll have to do that again. And brand new addition to the collection as of Friday or Saturday. I think the sale was Saturday. He just kept waving at the auctioneer and has a kind of a combination. It's a Caterpillar engine in an Oliver tractor. So yeah. So 2255 single, just rear wheel drive, not a 4-wheel drive, but not a front wheel assist. And a really, really nice original. And I think he was driving it around on Sunday, scouting crops was the story that I got. So that's going to be one of our, that'll be a wagon tractor this fall. So it'll be fun. We'll put it to work and get some use out of it this fall for sure.
Because you've got, is the front wheel assist one also a 2255?
Yep. Front wheel assist one lives on a grain cart. Okay. So again, 3208 engine and that was trying to think there was an Oliver engineer that did a really, really nice presentation for us at the Oliver banquet once about how they worked with Caterpillar to design this Oliver tractor to specifically stand up to and be paired with a 3208. So it was a really, really amazing story that they had to really hear how the two companies work together. OEM Solutions at Caterpillar worked with Oliver, even other companies. I mean, they've worked with New Holland on combines as well, but to pair that engine to that and really, the amount of design work that it took between the two companies to get the air filtering right, the oil filtering, transmission, final drives, and everything. Even the frame had to be designed to fit around that engine. So very, very interesting.
Yeah, and that is a heavy built tractor.
It's a monster. One of the first, I'll speak out, but one of the first planetary rear end tractors. So final drives were planetary on those. And this is when everybody else is still running bull gears. So it's very unique to see those planetary final drives on on an Oliver tractor, on a farm tractor, where they really hadn't showed up in the ag world yet.
Yeah.
So pretty unique.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, we got a question.
Nope, we've got a question.
question, since most of us don't collect waste management equipment, I am wondering what new
But
technology.
hey, hold on. I want to tell you that it's probably really cheap. You could probably really get your money's worth if you want to buy some old waste handling dozers.
So actually, this question is very good because, like you said, we had a meeting today, and as we were talking, I was wondering how to work this in. But says I'm wondering what new technologies are coming in the future for equipment used in landfills.
Okay. We've actually got a bit of a pretty good selection of what we would call grade control technologies that our customers often use in a landfill. We've got what we would call a two-dimensional control for the blade, and then also or three-dimensional control for the blade. So in terms of two-dimensional controls, for a customer that wants to lay their, as they're spreading their trash out, they want to lay it nice and flat. They want to keep it as level as they can so that the compactors can roll over it and do the compaction. And then they'll step it up, 16 to 18 inches and lay another lift in there. Well, we have 2D controls, two-dimensional controls that'll allow them to lay those lifts in at that same slope each pass. So that's something that we've seen being used, as well as three-dimensional as well too. So 3D controls, when a lot of these landfills, again, it's a huge dirt site as well too. So they're not only excavating out the next cell, but they're capping and filling the last cell. And so oftentimes they'll use a 3D model, three-dimensional GPS control to be able to lay that material in that dirt and get it trimmed exactly to where it's supposed to be on their model. Yeah. So we do work, we have software that works both with the compactor and the dozer in terms of placing the lifts at the correct height, and then also the compactor rolling over it the correct amount of times to compact that waste to make sure they get the best airspace that they can get. So
yeah, like in your garbage can in your kitchen, you don't want to take the bag out the first time it reaches the top.
That's right.
You got to smash it down.
You got to get your foot in there and smash it down.
And well, they're doing the same thing in the landfill.
That's right, landfill compactor, but you don't want to put your foot in there too many times, right? So you only want to smash it down the correct amount of times, and that's one of the things that the landfill software helps them to do, is it helps that compactor to realize how many times it needs to roll back and forth before it doesn't have any deflection or minimum deflection. So your first push is going to squeeze it down, 50%. The next one might be 30, the next one might be 20, the fourth one might be 10, but the fifth one might only be 5%. And so it's just not worth that fifth pass. So they're trying to figure out how much deflection they have, and they have some pretty good technology to do that. So good question.
Yeah. I was thinking, there are a couple of other things we talked about in our meeting today. Somebody was presenting to us based on a show that they went to, industry show, talking about how they were using AI to optimize the garbage truck route and try to cut 10, 15 minutes off of their route time and save that money, or using cameras to automatically catch when they forget to tip somebody's garbage can. And just they're using technology really everywhere, and you don't think of that for garbage, but yeah, it really is integrated in there. So.
Yeah, getting those extra few seconds off each stop in the route makes a big difference in how they do that. So,
and the other thing's fires. Mm-hmm. All these electronic devices have lithium batteries in them, and those like to catch on fire. So,
try to avoid putting those in the landfill if you can.
So please don't throw away your devices with lithium batteries, because our waste customers really don't like that.
Once a fire starts in a landfill, it takes a long time to get it out. So
that was a great question
for sure. Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
So we have on the list to talk about global operator challenge. Before we get into that, I thought it might be fun to talk a little bit about what you're working on this week with road builders.
Okay, yeah. So we've got Caterpillar. We have a lot of different training programs that we put together for a variety of different, I would say, experience levels in our sales force and our employees as well too. So we have kind of what we call the 101 courses, which is really basic, 0 to 5 year employees, and those are pretty simple. They're let's talk about blades, undercarriage, gauge, cabs, basic technology, serviceability, things like that. Really simple topics that just kind of get you started in the equipment world. And then kind of the next step up would be kind of our 201 style courses, where that's just going to be the annual updates we do every year, assuming that you have a base knowledge. Now you can see what we're changing and what we've improved and made better, different technology, different hardware, even things like that. And then we have kind of at the top end is what we call our application courses. And so that's where we take, dealer folk or Caterpillar even, and we bring them kind of into that customer's experience. And we're saying, okay, we want you to live a week in the life of this customer. And so this week is what we call our road builder course. So we bring the group in, the group of participants, probably about 40 people, split them in half, and each half is responsible to learn how to build a road and then execute, right? So they're reading plans, they're learning about soil density, they're learning about compaction and moisture and how all that goes together the first day. The second day, which is tomorrow, we'll go out and we'll show them the basics on how to operate the equipment, because the rest of the week, they are responsible for cutting ditches, putting lifts on the road, putting a pipe in. They have to put some drainage in there, and then executing and finishing the road by putting in the road base, the asphalt, quote unquote. They're going to go ahead and put some rock on top of it as well too. So tomorrow is operation day. We get them out there and we get them, comfortable with the basic machine operation, and then we get them in on some technology as well too, so that they can understand how to work with the 2D technology and the 3D technology to be able to do those cuts and fills appropriately. So
yeah, I found when I've helped with it in the past, it's really interesting because a lot of our visits or things we do are with people that are more experienced or at least have some experience with the product. But this road builder class, I've helped when we've had somebody from the customer accounting department where, they do debits and credits, but they really don't know how to build a road.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily even know how to move a machine, but their company thought it was important for them to understand that.
You bet.
So they send them to class at Caterpillar, and we'll show them how to, they're not going to be an expert by any means by the end of it, but they can move some dirt around and
they're going to appreciate the process.
Yes.
And that's probably the thing that strikes me the most with it is for the entire week that we're in the class, they're learning again about plans and materials and process and things like that. And they're literally only doing 6 or 8 hours of work the entire week. So so for the 6 or 8 hours worth of work, there's a lot of planning ahead of time and a lot of thought and a lot of preparation. Yeah. But and in the past, we've even depending on how good the technology guys are, every once in a while the base station goes out and they turn the technology off and tell them, hey, you still got to keep production up. So figure out how to run these machines without technology. And that's kind of fun to watch them struggle a little bit and kind of react to the daily problems that a job site has when the base station goes out, right? When the GPS goes out. So no, it's a great course. It's always been for dealers and CAT internal. And then we've recently opened it up to customers. And so it seems like we get more and more customers in each year. So yeah, it's a great course.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a competition too, right?
Yeah, so you have the orange team that does this 300 feet of road, and the yellow team does this 300 feet of road. And so you kind of set them up that they're competitors at the beginning, but usually within a couple of days, they realize that the road has to meet like this and not like this. So they do have to work together, and they figure out that they have to work together. And if one group has a little bit of export and the other one needs import, well, all of a sudden now we're working together even better, right? So it's a fun week, and we always seem to do it on the hottest week of the year. That we get to stand outside in 95-degree temperature. So yeah, that and cleaning grain bins out, Mr. Meeker.
Yeah.
Yep, hottest days of the year.
Yeah.
So
I always figured that was convenient that a lot of times you're gone when they call the backup team for me to come out there and help. I figured because it's really hot.
I may or may not look at the forecast before decide if I'm going to be gone or not that week. So no, it's a great class. I'm glad we do it. I think we're going to move into more and more of those, though. we've had a lot of them. We've had a sewer and water class before and putting underground utilities in. There's road builders. There's a quarry pro class that we do. We've even done BCP classes before. We did one, just reminded me, Jason Greer just reminded me last week that he did the one that was kind of that residential site prep class. And we literally dug a basement. We set Jersey barriers in as our foundation. We cut in electrical, we cut in gas, we cut in. So we had to tie on all these utilities and everything. We had to make the perimeter drain, grade the yard up, make it drain as well too. It was really, really interesting, but it was again, a residential maps, residential type of job site. So yeah. I think we'll get more and more of those as we get in. We're trying to expand the offering and keep it relevant for today's sales force. So,
and they do those like these this week will be out at Edwards here in Peoria, obviously, but they do some of those down at Tucson as well, right?
Yeah, we've done them out in Tucson. In fact, I think the South American crew still does one down in Brazil, and I know that they've done it over in Malaga, Spain, in our demo center over there as well too. So definitely replicated it all over the world and gotten more people involved. So
cool.
Did a couple down in Panama when we had Panama.
Yeah.
So the goal is not to have rain when you do this. So that's one of the reasons why we do it in the middle of the summer.
Yeah. Well, I think you've got a good rain-free week this week.
Yep.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Although doing road builders and trying to make hay in the same week, you're just asking for
that's kind of crazy. But we figured if it wasn't going to rain on road builders, we might as well cut hay. So yeah. So.
Good stuff. Well, speaking of competitions and things around the globe, let's talk a little bit about Global Operator Challenge. I guess maybe can you just give a little bit of an overview for people that aren't familiar with what that's all about?
Yeah, so this was our third, right? This last Con Expo. And the idea behind Global Operator Challenge is, honestly, the whole idea behind it is to celebrate the operators. It's to celebrate the folks that are out there making our equipment sing and making it do what it does. When we talk engineering wise, we talk about different features that we put on machines, and every time we get down to it, we're like, the biggest difference in productivity and efficiency is the operator, and it always is. So we want to celebrate the operators that are out there and kind of create a global competition where everybody gets an opportunity to go in and show their stuff off. So this particular challenge and all these are they're almost 2-year-long projects. By the time you get organized with the dealers, get all the contracts and everything signed, get all the legal agreements done, and then execute that. So this one started in early 25, where all the dealers that had chose to participate were planning their events out. And so each dealer gets the opportunity to have their events, have 2 or 3 challenges at their events, and then score as they see fit. And then when they get done, they have that one person that they can send into the next level, what we would call regionals. Our regionals here in Clayton, North Carolina, and North America, we end up with 2 people that we can send. We have one from the western half of U.S. and Canada, and then we have one from the eastern half, U.S. and Canada. And we get to send 2 people to the global, and the global is 9 people. So you've got U.S. West, U.S. East, South America. There's one from Africa, Middle East. There's one from Australia, New Zealand. There's one from Europe, one from China, and one from the rest of Asia, I believe. So there's 9 total that get. No, there's 2 from Australia. There's 2 Aussies, wasn't there?
Probably Australia and New Zealand.
I think there's 2 Aussies. Yeah. But so there's 9 people to come together at Con Expo to compete for the top prize. But it's a global competition. It's all about who can follow the instructions, operate smoothly and quickly, and execute the task that's in front of them. So so in terms of that, it was pretty cool to really see the type of people that we got in there, and who we had there. So talk just a little bit about dozers. I don't want to say it this way, but it's kind of a North America thing. There's places in the rest of the world that really don't operate dozers that much. If you go over to Asia, you'll see them using an excavator to do everything and a wheel loader to do the stuff they can't do with an excavator. They've never seen a motor grader or a dozer before. or a scraper.
Yeah.
So we have to be a little careful about, what we do with that. So dozers were part of the original one, Operator Challenge #1. Now we're on #3 this time. So 2020, we were part of the regionals to win regionals. And then once regionals were won, we didn't have dozers in the final. But this year we did have dozers in the final. So we had a D4,
Yep.
Nice little D4 tractor, all painted up Centennial gray, just like Dave's cup here. And we had him do a couple different tasks. One of the things that I wanted to do, with this task was I wanted to make it application based and kind of make it as real as we could. We've all used it, and we've watched people use the excavator and knock the ball off or take the basketball and throw it in a hoop and everything. But I've never seen anybody build a road or dig a basement by throwing a basketball in a hoop. So I thought, let's make it real. Let's make it something that's very application based. So the first thing we did in ours is we wanted to do a little bit of an obstacle course. So they basically took a tire and they dozed it in between some barrels and pushed that tire to a goal line. So the whole idea is, hey, you need to have great visibility. You need to know where your tire is, your obstacle is in front of your blade, even though you can't see it. You need to know where it is based on your intuition and based on the tracks on the ground and what you feel. And you need to be able to guide that through there, just like you were guiding it through an obstacle course on a job site. And a lot of job sites are obstacle courses.
Yeah.
So,
and I think one of the interesting things about when you guys create these challenges is you want it to be realistic, but like you said, you use the tire, because if you used dirt, somebody could mess it up really bad for the next guy.
Yeah.
So it needs to be repeatable.
It has to be measurable and repeatable. Those are probably the key things, the key requirements before realistic, but measurable and repeatable, because we, like you say, we have to be able to set it back up again for the next person. So, when we place our barrels there, we GPS the barrels in. We know exactly where they're at. We use the paint can and draw a line on the ground, so we know if the barrel's been bumped. We can appropriately take a point away from them or the penalty, and then quickly get it back together so that it's fair for the next person that comes in there as well too. So yeah, step one was doing that navigation course. Once they got done with that, our next step was we wanted them to spread a truckload of dirt. So we basically had a certain amount of dirt that was piled up, and we used GPS, and we used another dozer to dig it out. So it was exactly the same profile every time, exactly the same amount of dirt up there. It was about 4 or 5 blade pushes worth of dirt. And so their job was to backfill that dirt back into the hole and get it to within 1/10 of a foot of specification. So in fact, we decided in Las Vegas, we want to measure in 3 different places. So as they're pushing that dirt back in, it's pretty easy. If you leave it fat at the beginning, you're not going to have enough dirt at the end, and you're going to have a hole at the end. So we wanted to do 3 different measurement points. The first 2 were in the center, but in Las Vegas, we thought, well, we're going to make it interesting. We're going to have a little gambling involved. So we had them knock a dice off of a cone, and whatever number the dice rolled was where we did the 3rd measurement. And so you might get lucky and it might be a 3 or 4 right in the middle. You might get unlucky and it was a 6 on the outside and you forgot to put dirt out there. So we thought, well, we'd take a little bit of Las Vegas leeway and have them, a little bit of chance out there. So I thought that was pretty realistic as well too. Again, we made it very repeatable so that we could excavate the dirt back out, put it in the pile, and have it all ready to go again for the next time.
Do you like when they're doing the competition at the dealer, the beginning level, do they know what the challenges are going to be for the regionals and the final, or does the dealer kind of do their own?
So we intentionally kept it from the dealer. We never said anything to the dealers about it. In fact, we didn't even tell the dealer what machines were going to be in there. So it's always a pretty good guess from a dealer, or customer even, that there's probably going to be an excavator involved. There's probably going to be a wheel loader involved. It's likely there could be a skid steer involved, maybe on the off chance there's a dozer, maybe on the off chance. However, when Jason Hurtis, our friend, had announced to the dealers the team that was going to be doing the global challenge, and when my name showed up, it's pretty easy to put two and two together and figure out that there's going to be a dozer challenge. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So we intentionally didn't tell them. But I will say one thing we did do was we shared what we were doing in North America with our South American team and with the Europe team, so that everyone could have a similar dozer trial to get the the operators kind of conditioned to it, so they give them an idea. The last thing I want is from somebody from from one of the other regions to come in and have never run a D4 before. So we did share what we were doing with the regional teams. So the dealers might not have known what they were doing, but by the time they made it to regionals, they figured out real quick that there was a D4 that they needed to know how to run. So gave them an opportunity to get proficient in it. And we have a lot of the participants. They took it very seriously, and they would practice on their own job sites or with their dealer. They would practice and spend some time really going over things so they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, and I know last year there was an added wrinkle, being Caterpillar's 100th, that they wanted gray machines for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in the past you could just rent something that the dealer had, but in this case we had to build them specifically for this. So that was my involvement. I think you said early 2025. Yeah, it was like February or March, and the regionals wasn't until September.
Yeah.
But we were speccing out a machine. We needed it to have the technology that you needed for them to use for the challenge, but we also needed it to be able to be sold in that region after the competition's over with.
Yes, so I think we ended up doing 3 or 4 of them, right?
We did 4.
Yeah,
we did 4
all over the world. So everybody, we wanted to have the same tractor everywhere. So that's right.
Yeah, and even we said, okay, well we'll do them all in Brazil. Well, Brazil doesn't build tractors for this
Europe.
region. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one had to come from Grenoble. So we had to coordinate all of that just to get 4 tractors for this thing.
It's a lot of work to get 4 great tractors.
Yes. Yeah. Much more than you would think. So
yeah.
So then how do you score these when you're doing these events?
Yeah. So it's basically a time minus penalty. So it's pretty simple. And actually the amount of time that we spent on the score sheet making sure that the 5-second penalty was worth the 5-second penalty, right? And the 10-second wasn't too aggressive and whatnot. We spent a lot of time thinking about that based on what we'd done a few years ago with the dozer one, and then just a little bit of knowledge of operating the machines. My goal is to make it. I don't want to make somebody be perfect. I want to give them a little leeway and being a little sloppy if they need to be fast. But at the same time, you also don't want them to go too crazy. So you want to teach them to go slow. What is it? Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Yeah. So the way we designed it is a time minus penalty. So each of the 3 different challenges in there, the first one being the barrels, the second one being the backfill, the third one being what we call chase the rabbit or chase the poker chip, where they were, could use the technology to keep the blade at a certain height to push a poker chip down a string line. We had on each of those, we had a certain set of penalties. So for example, on pushing through the barrels, if the blade hit the ground, that was a penalty because the tire's this thick, which means that your blade can be that far off the ground. There's no reason to touch the ground. So we had that. If you hit the barrel, of course, that was a penalty as well too. On the backfill, our only real penalties we had were grade, basically getting it done and making sure that you backfilled it appropriately. And then there was probably the more exciting one was trying to push the poker chip, because we maybe didn't have super flat ground underneath that. So the tractor was going like this a lot while you were trying to hold that blade steady and push that poker chip. So we had lots of penalties for hitting the ground, hitting the poker chip, hitting the string, all the things like that. So And then, of course, we have kind of some basic penalties that we put in that revolved around safety. These are all professional operators, and so we expect them to be able to climb their way up in the cab using the handholds, sit down, put their seatbelt on, adjust the controls, get themselves perfectly ready to go. And then when we say go, we expect them to be on the way. Same thing when they park that vehicle. We want them to park, get the implements on the ground safely. The time has already stopped. There's no reason to be running around. We don't expect them to jump off the steps or anything. So you'd be surprised at how many people get excited and decide to dive off the tracks when they get done. And it's like, come on, you don't do that at work. Slow down, take your time, walk down appropriately, safely. So we do have a few safety.
So there's points penalties if they don't.
There's penalties if they have unsafe operation.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's cool.
So and then of course there's kind of we did have a maximum time limit, which I don't know if in global I don't think we had anybody hit max time, but in regionals we had a few hit max time. They were just a little slower. I wouldn't say a little slower; they were a lot slower. And a couple of the guys that they were just more familiar with the tractor, and so they were quite a bit slower. And so I think we had maybe one or two that hit max time, and then of course we cut them off at that point too. So,
are you able to kind of guess who you think's going to be the winner, or
absolutely not? And the funny thing is Bob, was helping with regionals there, and we were kind of looking and talking about people a little bit, and it was like, you really just don't know. You might have the best dozer operator in the world that decides they're going to fly through it fast, and they catch every penalty. So our fun story about that is, the 6 years ago when we did it in 2020, we had gone through there was 8 participants each day. We had 7 down. We had the 8th one right in front of us. And he asked us, he said, look, I'm in the lead with all the rest of these. Because he did his math. He knew what his scores were. He's like, I'm in the lead. He said, what do I have to do to win this? And we said, it's really simple. Listen to everything Bob tells you and do it exactly like Bob tells you. And lo and behold, Bob told him, use slope assist here. The same thing we told every other person. Use slope assist here, use 3D here, do this, do that, and very, very clearly gave him the instructions. Again, the exact same instructions we gave everybody else. But this guy listened, and he nailed it. He beat everybody else by like a minute. So it was pretty significant, but you just don't know I would say the mind, the headspace of that person as they're coming up to it, if they're nervous and they've got, or if they've kind of got themselves nailed down and they're ready to cruise right through it.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to guess one yet.
Yeah, you mentioned Bob, and just I guess to elaborate, and actually I was thinking Bob might be a good one to have on a future one of these. But Bob just retired a few months ago, but he was our in-house expert operator, and I think you always joked 127 years of industry experience, but
I think it's 132 now.
Yeah, maybe it is now, but yeah, he did spend several years out in the real world, and then did various jobs and worked at Edwards as a demo operator and test operator at our proving grounds, and then last quite a while worked with us. So.
Yeah. No, it was great. It was a great opportunity though. The Global Operator Challenge was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did it. Glad I was able to be a part of it this last time, and it's definitely an experience. Definitely an experience. Something unique.
Yeah, and I'm sure you guys are glad when it's over.
Oh, I'm telling you, the first. So of course, Con Expo starts on Tuesday. Yeah.
Yes.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? And so we had to show up on Friday because we were practicing one thing on Saturday, something else on Sunday, setting up on Monday. By the time Tuesday showed up, I was already 4, 16-hour days into it. And I was never so happy for Wednesday morning, for the second day of the show, when I could finally breathe and I could actually stand by the D8XE and talk to customers and not just run around like a rabbit inside the arena. That was
I
think a busy week.
This year, you even lost your voice a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I did. If anybody listens to any of the interviews we did on the D8XE, man, they're terrible. Those things are terrible. So, we, Saturday and Sunday, all prepping and everything. And Sunday morning, I was good, and then Sunday afternoon, gone. Voice was gone. I was raspy as can be. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because that's quite a, I mean, like you said, you get there Friday and then you've got practice and then you've got press events on Sunday and
we set the courses up. We had to walk everybody through it, and then finally on Tuesday we execute.
yeah.
So yeah,
So you might think it's oh, we get to go to Las Vegas for a week on Caterpillar's dime, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Con Expo is a great show, and it is fantastic when it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so busy.
Yeah. I went this year as a spectator. I didn't work the show, and I think that might ruin me. I don't think I could.
Now you're what when I can just go and see all the cool stuff and not have to actually work the show. That's a great
not
idea.
stand on the pavement for 8 hours a day.
That's right.
That's great.
So that's right. So
We have another question.
All right.
Jim wants to know, have any women operators made it to the regional competition?
Yeah, I think in the past we've had one or two, and then in fact we even had a completely separate global operator challenge for the women's division. That was completely separate, and they did that in 24, maybe. Sound right? But they had a completely separate one, and we had some awesome operators there. And in fact, a lot of them, several of them, two or three came to hang out with us during the regionals there. And so Kate Birds in particular, I think Kate had won, so we got to hang out with her a little bit. And I think I got the chance to put her through the course that afternoon, just to let her run around with it and try it
I
out.
saw a little bit of video of that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, there was who was the young lady from Saskatchewan? We had a grader operator from Saskatchewan. Her name is not hit me at all, but she got to go through the course. I got to walk her through it as well too. So there's some awesome female operators that are out there that were having fun with it. But I don't know if they've got another one planned or not. But they had a whole women's course that was really really cool. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Amanda, that was her name. Amanda Dyke, I believe is her name. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was also just thinking that question reminded me. It's not just operators. I mean, we do the global technician challenge now too.
That's right. They had a great one for that. They presented the awards at Con Expo. I think they had most of that technician challenge. A lot of that finals was out at Edwards, wasn't it?
Yes.
So
yes, because we had to loan them 6 identical D6s to use so they all did the same task on the same machine. So
yeah. Did they still run when you got them back?
yes, I will say yes.
That's good. They didn't take too many things off of them. Just some basic troubleshooting. So cool.
All right. Any other questions out there? I think we kind of run through all of mine. So anybody? You can add it to the chat or come off mute.
All right, good stuff. Well, everybody, man, I appreciate everybody stopping in and asking some good questions and getting the opportunity to get interviewed by Dave. So
yeah, thank you so much for doing this.
You bet.
Great way to kick off this. Hopefully something we can keep doing more of.
You bet.